Alright guys, I am back with my review of this week's TNA Impact Wrestling for February 13th, 2014. And the show starts off with Dixie Carter, Spud, EC3, Magnus. And they get some heat from the crowd. The Magnus says that he's up here and MVP is down here. And he's not going to sell out to him. So MVP comes out with Samoa Joe. He says a lockdown, it's going to be Joe versus Magnus. And Gunner comes out. And he says he's going to give Magnus a week. And then he's going to cash in his briefcase. And Dixie Carter says that he may not have the briefcase because tonight he's facing EC3 for it. And MVP calls EC3 C3PO, which was pretty funny. And he says, well, if that's the way you want to play it, how about tonight we'll make it a ladder match. We'll put EC3's briefcase for the tag team titles on the line. And both briefcases will be up in the air, and it'll be winner takes all. And Dixie Carter agrees with this. So it's Gunner versus EC3 in the ladder match for the briefcases. And of course Magnus gets involved, and Storm runs out to get Gunner's back, and MVP makes it a tag team ladder match for the briefcases. So they continue the match. At one point Magnus and EC3 start arguing. They both try to climb the ladder. They start pulling each other down, and then they push each other, but it gets broken up by Storm and Gunner. So Gunner hits a flying headbutt on EC3. He climbs the ladder, grabs the briefcases, and as he's trying to unhook the briefcases, and you see a lot of wrestlers do that, they'll grab the title and then kind of just fall off the ladder, or they'll hang on to it and then unhook it and then fall to the ground. Gunner, I guess, was trying to do this, so he jumps off the ladder before it's unhooked, but the whole structure just comes down with him, like the chain or whatever. And I can't remember that ever happening before, so the finish was kind of botched here. The way he just brought the whole damn thing down with him. But, I mean, who cares? The match was just okay anyways. It wasn't anything great. And then we see Mr. Anderson talking about the casket match with Bully Ray. And he says tonight's match is about family, his family. We see Rockstar Spud separating the dressing room with a big yellow line. And MVP and Dixie both own 50% of the company, apparently. And it's something we've seen in sitcoms about 1,000 times, where they draw a line to separate the room and shenanigans ensue. So bromans show up because they're upset that Gunner and Storm now have the briefcase to cash in for a tag team title shot, and they want to find out what the hell's going on because apparently they had an agreement with EC3 to not cash that in for a very long time. And MVP shows up and says that they're here to wrestle, and he puts them in a match against the Wolves and a mystery partner. It's the Wolves and Samoa Joe versus the Bromans with Zema Ion. And it was pretty cool. As a Ring of Honor fan, I thought it was cool to see Joe out there with the Wolves. But the match itself was just okay. Wasn't anything special. Wasn't great by any means. The Wolves dive onto the Bromans, and Joe chokes out Zema Ion for the win. That was pretty much it. My main problem with this is, how are they going to book the American Wolves going forward? I mean, what long-term plans can they possibly have for these guys when you only have 4 teams? The Bromans are the tag team champions, and the Wolves face them here, and you got Bad Influence and Storm and Gunner. That's it. So the positives are, for TNA, are you got a team like the Wolves, a very experienced tag team. They've wrestled all over the world, and they're so good they could possibly help your other teams like the Bromans improve. But who wants to see that shit? Who wants to see the American Wolves versus the Bromans? I mean, let's be honest here. Robbie E is a singles wrestler. Everybody shit on his matches. And I like Robbie E and Jesse, but that's the truth. Everybody shit on their matches. Both of them. They're 2 mediocre wrestlers. Would you bring in the Road Warriors to feud with the Bromans? And I'm not trying to compare the Wolves to the Road Warriors, but that's how it feels. You have a well-established tag team that's been all over the world, has been known to have amazing matches, and you bring them in and they're wrestling Jesse and Robbie E? It just seems like a waste of the Wolves to me. And they could have an amazing feud with Bad Influence down the line. And then you got Storm and Gunner, but they're also baby faces, so it wouldn't make sense for the Wolves to face them. So you really got two teams. And the Bromans, even being in there with the American Wolves, these guys are not going to improve. Like I said, they're just mediocre wrestlers. MVP, Dixie, and Spud are in the dressing room, and Velvet Sky comes in, and she asks Dixie to cancel this match against Chris Sabin. And Dixie says no, she's going to have to face Sabin. And she says that she wishes MVP was a wrestler so she could have someone put him through a table. And Spud says that if MVP was wrestling, he would be the one to take him out. So MVP tells him to get his ring gear, and they're going to have their match next. Then Abyss comes out, and he's talking about how Eric Young screwed him up and all of this stuff. And Eric Young comes out, and Abyss takes his hood off. He's not wearing the mask anymore, so he's dressed like Abyss, but it looks like Joseph Park. And he talks for a very long time. And he basically says, I need to go away for a while to fix your mistake. And I'm going to find someone who truly understands me, and I'm going to fix this. I assume he's talking about James Mitchell, which would be awesome. And that's the only person I can think of. So hopefully he'll come back with James Mitchell and he'll be Abyss and they can move past this. But they did show a cool video package for the Eric Young Abyss, not even a feud, whatever the hell it was, / Joseph Park crap, and the Monsters Ball match. And the video package was really well done. And it makes it look like a serious storyline. But this has always been a joke storyline. The whole Eric Young teaming with Joseph Park thing, and then trying to get him to turn back into Abyss, it's always been treated as a joke. So now that it's like actually coming to an end, they're finally going to take it seriously. Samuel Shaw is talking to Christy Hemme backstage, or outside the building. He's helping her put her luggage away or something. And he says he agrees they need to be professional. And he shakes her hand, and then when he turns his back to her, he smells his hand. Then it's Rockstar Spud versus MVP. MVP throws Spud up into the air, hits the ball and elbow, and a kick to the head for the win. That was it. So then we get the Willow video. And I was watching this on TV, and I was thinking, wow, this is kind of a cool character. This is different. Is that fucking Jeff Hardy? Yeah, it is Jeff Hardy. So Willow is Jeff Hardy, and I do like the character, so I'm willing to give him a chance and see if he can actually do something good with this. But I would definitely prefer it if it was a new wrestler. Knowing that it's Jeff Hardy has hurt my perception of the character already. Instead of this unique, original character, I just feel like it's Jeff Hardy out there playing the Mad Hatter. And I'm sure he brought this to TNA and they were like, yeah, that sounds cool, go for it. But we'll see what happens with this one. Bobby Roode is going off on Dixie Carter backstage. He's still pissed off about his title shot. And she says he lost to Joe. There's nothing she can do about it. And he just tells her that she doesn't want him as an enemy. Then it's Chris Sabin versus Velvet Sky. And Velvet Sky has been on this emotional roller coaster. She's so upset. She's distraught that she has to wrestle her ex-boyfriend. So she comes out smiling and waving to fans. And she's supposed to kick Sabin in the balls, but she botched it, I guess, because she kicks him in the knee. And he's like, why did you kick me in the knee? So she kicks him in the balls, and he's wearing a cup. And he takes it out, and he turns his back to her, and she low blows him. She starts going off on him, and some huge woman runs out, throws Velvet off of Sabin, puts her in a full Nelson and shakes her around, and then Sabin dances around the ring. Then we see Bully Ray in Anderson's dressing room. He calls Anderson's wife, says he's sending him home in a coffin. And then we see Bobby Roode backstage. He's all depressed now. He says, I lost. It's over. I can't deal with this anymore. I need to go home and think. And the security removes him from the building. The main event is Ken Anderson versus Bully Ray. And I like this match. The only thing I didn't care for, the only lame part about this match was the casket. It did not need to be a casket match. That's the only thing that really hurt this, was every time they tried to do something with the casket, it looked really silly. But everything else was cool. Anderson charges Bully Ray with a chair. And normally if the wrestler knows the chair is going into their face, they'll turn it around to the wrong side so that the soft part, or at least the level part, hits them in the face, instead of the hard edges that go around the bottom of the chair. And Bully Ray kicks it into Anderson's face, and he had the hard edges pointing towards him, so it bust his eye open. And it looked really nasty. And at one point, Bully actually rubs the blood onto his own face, which was disgusting. But this was good. Bully Ray powerbombs Anderson through a table, and then Anderson hits the mic check into the casket for the win. Then Dixie Carter is talking to MVP backstage. They're arguing about who's going to control TNA, and that was the end of the show. I have to say, though, that I think Dixie Carter has been doing a great job with her role. She's not the best actor in the world, but she's been doing pretty good, I've thought, these past few weeks. I think she's been doing good. And MVP has been awesome. His mic work has been spot on. So overall, I thought this was a decent show. It was average. The problem I had with this show, first of all, let me tell you the positives about this show. They gave us matches here that I did not expect. Whenever they would announce a match, I really expected them to say next week. But they did it on this show. They had the match with the Wolves and Samoa Joe versus the Bromans. MVP versus Rockstar Spud. I did not expect to see MVP wrestle this soon. And the problem with that is the matches were not good. So they did give us some surprise matches here that I did not expect, but the matches didn't really deliver. So I have to say this was just an average show. It was okay. But that's my review. Hope you guys liked the video. Leave your thoughts on the show in the comments, and thanks for watching. Bye. Alright guys, I'm back with my review of this week's TNA Impact Wrestling for February 13th, 2014. And the show starts off with Dixie Carter, Spud, EC3, Magnus. And they get some heat from the crowd. The Magnus says that he's up here and MVP is down here. Briefcase, because tonight he's facing EC3 for it. And MVP calls EC3 C3PO, which was pretty funny. And he says, well, if that's the way you want to play it, how about tonight we'll make it a ladder match. We'll put EC3's briefcase for the tag team titles on the line. Winner's back. And MVP makes it a tag team ladder match for the briefcases. So they continue the match. At one point, Magnus and EC3 start arguing. They both try to climb the ladder. They start pulling each other down. And then they push each other. And both briefcases will be up in the air. And it'll be winner takes all. And Dixie Carter agrees with this. So it's Gunner versus EC3 in the ladder match for the briefcases. And of course Magnus gets involved. And Storm runs out to get Gunner. And he's not going to sell out to him. So MVP comes out with Samoa Joe. He says a lockdown. It's going to be Joe versus Magnus. And Gunner comes out. And he says he's going to give Magnus a week. And then he's going to cash in his briefcase. And Dixie Carter says that he may not have the